I'll like to invite Sri Prabhu Chawla, the editorial director of the New Indian Express. Now we'll hear from Prabhu Chawla.
Good morning, everybody. My distinguished panelists and Jaggi, who invited me to participate in debate, along with the politician and one of the most iconic figure, Dr. Kiran Bedi, who is fighting against corruption. She symbolizes who can fight corruption now. Corruption runs in vicious circle. Can Lokpal break it? It's a very narrow subject. Yes, it is a vicious circle. If Kiran was here, I would have asked one question to her, that all the rally she is holding all over the country, or Anna is holding all over the country, do they follow all the rules of traffic? I went to Ramlila Maidan, I went to Jantar Mantar, all the rules of traffic were violated by the Anna team. But they were doing for a good cause, through corrupt practices. Some of their volunteers were bribing the people to park my car at a particular corner so that I could go and join the brigade, shout Anna Jindabad, and come back and go home. So they were bribing the parking attendant to park their car, join the movement against anti-corruption through corrupt practices. But I'm not saying they were corrupt. Not at all. How do you handle these situations? Demonstrations are held all over the world. Nowhere they break the rules. Nowhere they insist, okay, I will sit on a dharna in this particular place so that television channels can come. The Janpath or Ramlila ground or whatever place is nearer to all of us, all the channels can come and take camera pictures there. If you sit somewhere else, nobody will come. So as somebody was pointing out, TRP-driven movements are happening here. It is happening because we want to attract attention to a wonderful idea. Anna is an idea whose time has come. It should have come long ago. But an idea cannot be individualized. It has to be institutionalized. What is being done now, Anna becomes the target. Anna teams become the target. Renuka Chaudhary and his party, her party finds all the faults with the team members now. They couldn't find the same fault when they were in services. They will find out income tax returns were not given by somebody. They will find out Kiran Bedi are doing this. Okay. But why you found them out now? Because they're challenging you. So it's a mindset which we have to talk about. Corruption is a vicious circle because from the day you are born on earth and the day you die, you do some kind of a corrupt activity. As Chandra Mitra was pointing out just now, that we are famous, MPs are famous because we attend the parliament only when there is a whip. I'm not saying it's a corrupt practice. But how many of them attend the parliament throughout the day? Mind it, they are paid DA for the whole day, not for marking attendance, outside at 11 o'clock, go inside during the question hour, come out and go home. All the MPs are doing two double jobs because they are all MPs, they are industrialists, they are editors, they are whatever you call them. They are getting DA for that day from parliament. They are getting salary from their office the same day. Is it not corruption? In broader sense of the term. If Kiran Bedi can be charged, okay, you got money for a business class and traveled economy class, it is corruption. So I want to ask these honorable MPs, why do you get two salaries in a day? It is broader term. I'm not saying it is corruption. I'm not saying it is corruption. It's a way of thinking. What is corruption? What is not corruption? Who will decide in this country? Will Anna Hazare decide in this country what is to be happen in this country? Who will decide corruption? Corruption is a way of life. She is sitting here. I've been to her constituency. I know her from the day she joined politics. She fought corruption with VP Singh. Now she is fighting corruption with Congress party. She knows what is happening. Limit of election contest for a parliament election is 35 lakh rupees per constituency now. It was 15 lakh earlier. Tell me, Renuka, put a hand on your heart that you spent only 35 lakh rupees. Chandna raised that question. But he kept aside because his party talks about electoral reform. He spoke about it. But I want to know how many times you have disturbed the parliament proceedings during the last 20 years to get for electoral reforms. You disturb parliament every day. But have you ever disturbed the parliament? Okay, bring the electoral reform bill and we will support the government on that. Because that you don't want to do, because that is the major source of corruption. गंगोत्री है corruption की अगर election expenses हैं 35 लाख रुपए वो खरने की बात करते हैं, खर्च करते हैं 5-5 करोड़ रुपए, वो बाकी पैसा कहां से आता है? And Chief Election Commissioner tells me, out of the 542 candidates, none of the single candidates filed a return of more than 10 lakh rupees. They say we spent only 10 lakh rupees. Nobody reached 35 lakhs even. Most of the leaders in various parties, if you look at what money Sonia Gandhi has spent, what Mr. Lal Kishan Advani has spent, what everybody has spent, can you believe they spent that kind of money? I don't want to give the figures. I have got the figures. The kind of procedure they have adopted for Lok Sabha appointment, so and so will sit together. They will appoint whom? Some retired judge, or to be retired judge, to be retired CBO, to be retired CBI director. All of them are in service for 35 years. What did they do? CBI director, who is now one of the honest officers of court, I want to ask how many cases he solved when he was in Jharkhand police. When Mishra, who was CBI director here, what did he do when he was a police officer here? What did the CVC do when he was running a secretariat in the government? What did Kiran Bedi do when she was DCP Delhi Police? They all become wiser after retirement. If these people you are going to select human content is same. They are the people who have been part of the system. Their children might have got admission through fraud or through other pressure techniques. So when the same individuals are going to be selected, whether they are under the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh or whether they are under Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee or they are under Prime Minister Naveen Patnaik, I don't know. But ultimately, individuals matter, system matters. You have to think within yourself that source of corruption is politics of this country. You have to attack politicians. I am surprised Anna has not spoken about electoral reforms. Why can't you merge the CVC and CBI together and call it Lokpal? There are two institutions working against corruption. Why can't they be called Lokpal? Why you want to retire judges or somebody else to become the Lokpal and add another 1,000 crores of expenditure every time? Well, you want to oblige some people. Like RTI, she is claiming credit for that. It's a good bill. But did you need RTI and spend 5,000 crore rupees annual expenditure to appoint retired bureaucrats, RTI commissioners? You wanted regulators to be appointed. Okay, there should be telecom regulatory authority. They will control the prices. They will control spectrum distribution. Some retired IAS officer, some retired chartered accountant, some retired judge were appointed on trial tribunal. What happened? 2G scam after that. So whenever you create a mechanism to control some disease, it multiplied itself. So need is that we are all corrupt by nature. It's a DNA in our country that we want to jump the queue everywhere else. Lokpal will not be able to solve it. It will make things worse. Last point I want to make, Parliament may be supreme. Now Mr. Chandan Mitra is talking about Parliament is supreme, it has laws have to be made. His party fought against the Parliament, amended Constitution through majority and put everybody in jail. Why do you object to that? Parliament is not supreme if it doesn't work in the public interest. I agree with Anna on that point of view. Now charity begins at home. First, politicians must improve themselves. Unless they show the path, leaders must lead. What is happening? Leaders are being led. They must not be led by anybody. Once they are not led and they lead, corruption will be all over. Thank you very much.
As you all may have already noticed that Dr. Kiran Bedi just arrived, just in time I must say. We extend a very warm welcome to you, to Bhubaneswar, to OTV. Dr. Kiran Bedi joined the police service in 1972 and became the first woman officer in the IPS. She was the host and judge of the popular TV series Aapki Kacheri, which is based on real-life disputes and provides a platform for settling disputes between consenting parties. Dr. Bedi was awarded Ramon Magsaysay Award in 1994 from government services. She is one of the prominent members of the India Against Corruption group along with Sri Anna Hazare and Arvind Kejriwal. I now request Dr. Kiran Bedi to come on the dais and perhaps maybe straight go for the talk.
Thank you, friends. Really sorry that I missed the 3 wonderful speakers, 4 speakers before. When Ms. Panda told me that these are going to be the speakers, I was really looking forward to, but then I couldn't come yesterday evening because I really had some other compelling commitments to honor. So I thought, let me balance the two and be with you today and make it in time. I think in the movement against corruption, this country's come a long, long way. And it's got a long way to go. When I feel this thought of having come a long way and a long way to go, let me put my thoughts into these two parts. A long way, it's come a long, long way. How do you think it's come a long, long way? Because from the year 1968, we as Indians were making an effort to bring about an ombudsman since 1968. No bari, tab se 9 times, this is the 9th plus time where India is probably getting a Lokpal. 1968 se effort shuru hua hai. And when did it start? With Dr. Singhvi speaking to Pandit Nehru, saying Lokpal hona chahiye, ombudsman hona chahiye. And when I read some of those reports, Pandit Nehru ji asked Dr. Singhvi, ye kaun se janwar ka naam hai? What name of this, whose name is it, which animal? Ombudsman was introduced as a name by Dr. Singhvi, the father of Mr. Singhvi, who was chairing the standing committee on Lokpal. So it's since 1968 this has gone on, and it has been put into effort 9 times. Every time it came, it did not come through. It fell through for some reason or the other. And you had different parties in power. You had Congress in power most of the time, and you had other parties in power other times. But somehow or the other, we never got it. So it's since 1968, this effort has been gone. And the corruption has also multiplied. And by the way, when Dr. Singhvi mentioned this to Pandit Nehru and team is on record to say we have to address the growing corruption. But instead of coming up with a Lokpal, Pandit Nehru and team decided to set up the first Administrative Reforms Committee. That's it. So, agar 1968 mein hi kaide ka ek Lokpal aa jata, India would have been probably a different country. So, when I say it's a long way to go, but it's come a long way, 1968 से आज 2012 तक इस देश के पास अभी भी ombudsman नहीं है. Do we have a Lokpal in India today? Friends, do we have it? I'm going to ask you questions. Good. So it's come a long way. India has come a long way that it's drafted a bill, finally. To my mind, when I saw the television, it was passed in the Lok Sabha because there was one political party which had a majority. And it was not passed in the Rajya Sabha because the same political party did not have the majority. Another party had a majority, but it did not agree with the kind of Lokpal which Lok Sabha had passed. Most of the Lok Ayuks, barring Karnataka, are toothless. ये सब नाम के वास्ते है, काम के वास्ते नहीं है, दिखाने के लिए है, करने के लिए नहीं है. So, I'm not on the Lok Ayuks. Lok Ayuks, in fact, you would need another debate. Let me take off this coat because I'm feeling warm already. You would have had another toothless bill, by the way. If the people had not worked up, you call them India Against Corruption, you call them people of this country, you call them individual agitations, does not matter. It's not a question of a name. The one which was drafted by the government of India by May 2011, let's understand that. They drafted. You might ask me, finally, why did they draft it? In G20 summit, the government of India's leadership attending G20, my friends, gave a commitment. Because of the international pressure of fighting against corruption, and particularly the Western world wanting its money back from foreign banks. And that is how you remember America started to move to get its money back from overseas banks through of the money which has been tax evaded. And they now compelled the nations to fall in line and to enact their own laws according to the spirit of United Nations Convention Against Corruption. India had still not signed this United Nations Convention Against Corruption till last year. Till last, India was a signatory, but India had not ratified it. India having not ratified it, India was not bound to bring its anti-corruption laws according to the United Nations Convention. But in G20 summit in Seoul, there was a commitment to align your own country laws of anti-corruption in alignment with the UN Convention. It was an international compulsion. It was not your and my voice. So there was now this Lokpal, my friends, the genesis of this Lokpal is not Anna Hazare, not we the people. It was we the people in G20. G20 said, commit yourself, now rest of the countries. So India had to enact something. Once they drafted the bill, this was picked up by individuals and intelligentsia of the country. It was picked up by individuals like the Bhushans, individuals like activist Arvind Kejriwal. It was individuals like Santosh Hegde. It was individuals, people through workshops. And it was found that it was not the solution to the problem. What was the problem? What was it addressing? What was the Lokpal to address? Problem ye thi कि investigating agency of this country is still not politically independent. Some scam which only started with only 65 crores in 1968 today is into lakhs of crores. Why? Because our investigating agency in this country is not politically independent. This is political view of all the parties, including our young political leader, Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Even he said 2 years ago in a news item in Economic Times, a heading, that every political party has abused and used the Central Bureau of Investigation. Why did we need the Lokpal? Because our policing is not independent anyway. You know that. Can any police state, any state police officer, can he arrest a home minister of that state for corruption? Can he? Can he? I'm asking you, yes or no? Can he arrest any other, even bureaucrat, senior most bureaucrat for corruption in his own state? Can he? Because our state policing is not independent. In this country, you need 4 things to be pushing your way. You need muscle, you need money, and you need position, and you need other things. This theme is sometimes not comfortable for some, I quite understand, because it is a very thorny issue. Corruption is a thorny issue, and people who in the Lokpal issue are totally divided today. On one hand, you have people of the kind you pass the bill in Lokpal, in Lok Sabha, and you have another kind of people who want a different kind of bill in the Rajya Sabha. The country's friends divided today, let me tell you that. And we as citizens are caught between the two. I was saying that most important factor in this country is you do not have state police which are independent, and you do not have the Central Bureau of Investigation which is independent. It's not autonomous. When I say independent, the government decides its postings, transfers, its budgets, its personnel, its lawyers, its opinions. It's very heavily controlled by the government. Recently, do you remember the Chief Election Commissioner, Mr. Qureshi? He was, this is all in the newspaper, the law ministry started to control him a little, or he wrote something a little. The Chief Election Commissioner wrote back to the law ministry that we are an autonomous body, we are a constitutional body, you cannot interfere with us. You had the Prime Minister coming on record to say, yes, the Chief Election Commissioner is autonomous and we have no business to interfere with it, while the law ministry gave a different signal. Do you know, I tweeted at that time. I tweeted to say, I wish in 35 years of my career, I'd seen even one director of CBI writing similarly to the government to say, our investigation is independent, please do not interfere in my investigation. Friends, we have a Lokpal. I will quickly tell you only 3-4 things, and I want you to ask which is better. The appointment of Lokpal. I have a comparison. This is a comparison of what is being done in the Lok Sabha and what is being done in the Rajya Sabha. These are 2 different statements. This is where we got to go a long, long way. If we do not get a Lokpal which provides autonomy to the CBI, I can tell you, my friends, we do not have a destiny in this country. Yet. And according to the Lok Sabha passed Lokpal, the CBI is still under the control of the government. While the one which has been offered as amendments in the Rajya Sabha is asking for autonomy by of the CBI. Which one do you think is better? Raise your hands, those who say administratively autonomous. Raise your hands. And those who say no, administrative control should remain with the government. Raise your hands. You are the only one. This is the crux, my friends. The crux of this rest of the things are equally serious. But since the time is not much, I'm not going to go into detail. As a police officer, and I know Mr. Jay Panda is with us on this. Your BJD is with the autonomy to be given. I've heard him so many times on the Lok Sabha debates. He said it so categorically that unless you take administrative control away from and CBI set free and it goes to Lokpal, you will never have independence of investigation. If you go to my website, kiranbedi.com, I put this PowerPoint proposal on my site. You can download it and see it, so that anybody can see the difference. It shows you the differences in between for the CBI. It shows you the differences in appointment, selection, removal. If the Lokpal is going to be corrupt, who does it do it? What is so far the government stand, which means a party in power, and what are the others thinking, and what is the Jan Lokpal thinking, what the people are saying. So in India, it's a systematic failure. It's a systematic corruption. It exists. It is widely known, and therefore when it's systematic corruption, my friends, you need a system change. You need a systems approach. And in the systems approach, unless you get a strong, effective Lokpal, our present generation will suffer, our future generations will suffer. I'm told we lose at least $16 billion in the last few years as money which has left the shores. If that money remains with us, we have more schools, we have more roads, we have more airports, we have more railway stations, we have more dispensaries, we have more hospitals, we have more IITs, we have more IIMs, and we have pensions for the old age. And not once in a while. This is our future. And the debt. On one hand, we borrow money, on the other hand, we corrupt the money. We can't do that by borrowing money and eating away the money rather than passing on to the people. We are leaving our people to the next generation. Jo kal ki baat hui, you see a systems failure. When one of the key people were released from jail on bail by the High Court, without mentioning any names, what is going to happen to his trial? Do you know what? I don't think you will see a closure of that trial in CWG during our lifetime. It will not happen. Because there is no system, my friends. Unless an effective, strong Lokpal with special courts, with no adjournments or minimum adjournments, comes as envisaged by the people of this country, your and my future is in debt. It's in debt. We are already in debt, but we will go more and more in debt. So why should you fight? Why should you fight if I would make a closing statement? Why should you fight? Why should you know about this? Because you do not want to be in debt anymore. You want to get out of a debt. Good country is one which same generation clears its debt. That is gone, my friends. We are passing on the udhar to our children and to our grandchildren. We have to fight back. Therefore, two things. One, we raise a voice for a strong Lokpal, and secondly, we also demand from Orissa a strong Lokayukt on the same lines as Uttarakhand has built. Uttarakhand has given a very strong Lokpal. Having come a long way, having made the effort to come, I thought I must drive home this point. So your demands are two. One, strong Lokpal as being properly amended by the Rajya Sabha. But remember, when there will be a joint session of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, numbers will win. Numbers may win, and you and I may lose. We may get a Lokpal which is dividing even the CBI into three. Inquiry alag, investigation alag, prosecution alag. वो तो जो है वो भी गई. जो CBI है वो भी गई. अगर सरकारी लोकपाल आ गया तो जो CBI है वो भी गई. और अगर सही लोकपाल आ गया तो फिर सबकी बारी आ जाएगी और उनकी बारी आने से हमारा भविष्य बच जाएगा. आपने मुझे बर्दाश्त किया. मेरे से ज़्यादा, आपसे ज़्यादा मुझे पैनलिस्ट ने बर्दाश्त किया, मैं आपका धन्यवाद करती हूँ। और उन्होंने मुझे बोलने दिया और कहने दिया अपनी बात, एक ऑर्डिनरी नागरिक के नाते और एक पुलिस ऑफिसर के, जो कि पुरानी इस कहानी को बड़ी गहराई से जानती है। थैंक यू मिसेस पांडा फॉर bearing with me and inviting me all the distance. I have great respect for Mr. Panda because he speaks our voice also many times, loudly, clearly, and so wonderfully academically. So I want to thank you and keep up the voice strong. Thank you.